Hi, everybody. Welcome back for another fun show. Thank you for everybody that send me messages of support. I really appreciate it. And anyhow, I'd like to start with a disclosure to begin things. Um, Please allow me, let's see. All of the following information contained within this presentation should be taken as statements of opinion and not fact. This presentation is for informational and entertainment purposes only. Any and all named individuals, organizations, orders, sects, religious organizations, and law enforcement groups are all presumed to be innocent unless and until proven guilty in a court of law. None of this presentation nor any statement made herein is meant to harm nor tarnish nor defame the reputation of any person or entity mentioned herein. Each and every statement made has been gleaned from many thousands of hours of careful study of the zodiac ciphers, most recently the Burger Chef cipher from September 27th of 2019, which we'll be focusing on here. The following presentation is a summary of some of my findings as to precisely what it is that is hidden within the Burger Chef cipher. The cipher itself does not have a voice, but let me be that voice, the chosen one, the messenger, the truth teller. I am simply relaying to you, the listener, what the Burger Chef cipher has told me to be facts. Once again, all individuals, entities, organizations, etc., mentioned herein are to be presumed innocent until proven otherwise in a court of law. I am here simply to bring answers as to what the cipher tells us. What I am about to share with you is a seemingly impossible tale of governmental corruption committed by the very elite in this extremely hypocritical, broken, sadistic, and satanic society. Since at least 1963, the man who raised me, Dick Nolette, followed by his son and then his son after him, have all served as state-sponsored agents of chaos. They've been given a free, quote-unquote, hall pass to commit each and every form of mayhem, including murder. They are responsible for everything from unaliving men, women, and children. Actually, countless people have been alived in a 63-year period, to bombings of international airliners, major arson, and they are responsible for many of the most infamous crimes committed throughout the United States from 1962 to the present day, including the unaliving of Miss Nancy Guthrie of Tucson, Arizona. I will be the first to admit that a lot of what I'm about to say and share with you will seem to be entirely impossible, and my findings to be called delusional or quote-unquote batshit crazy. That's the way these ciphers have been designed. They've been designed to make whoever tries to explain them to appear to be either guilty or completely batshit crazy or both. So with all of that in mind, I guess we can proceed from here. The crimes that I'm going to be talking to you about today include 2 double homicides which were committed in Oak Ridge, Oregon, and in 2005, July of 2005. And then the following year, the first one was in Oak Ridge, Oregon, at a campground called Staley Creek. And the second one, which we'll get to in the next presentation, was committed further north, near a place called Pinnacle Lake, Washington, and that was on July 11th of 2006. But to begin with, I'd like to explain a little bit about how we're going to get to this in greater detail in another presentation, but I think it's really important to point out a few things that are on the bigger scale. First of all of these crimes My family of origin have been committed. They've probably been involved in unaliving definitely 4 digits of human beings, over 1,000 human beings. That number could be as high as 6,000. And I know these numbers sound ridiculous, but they've been doing this for 63 years. And Dick himself he was an early starter, I guess you'd say. He started at the age of 12 in 1954. And some of the some of the terrorist activities they've been involved with have been the bombings of airliners and things like that. Sometimes they've killed up to 270 individuals at one time, which was the case with the bombing of Pan Am Flight 103 over Lockerbie, which was committed in December of 1988. And like I shared before, my entire family of origin was involved in that, aside from myself. My extended relative built the bomb. My mother and brother were said to have put the bomb on the airplane. And the man who raised me arranged for the whole thing to happen and for payment to be made to the family for taking down Flight 103. I guess we can begin by describing some of the bigger things about the cipher. We're going to get into a lot more detail about this in another future presentation. But right here, what I want to point out is on this upper level, primarily lines 1 through 5, I'd say. The upper lines here, 1 through 5, 1 through 6, they describe what the man who raised me did in 1963, which was, he was the man on the grassy knoll. He was hired by J. Edgar Hoover and the other 3-letter organization. It was a group effort. It was an actual conspiracy to unalive JFK. And the man who raised me was the final shooter in that scenario. He had always been a great hunter, and he was a member of the state of Maine Big Bucks Club. That he earned his flannel jacket. They give you a flannel jacket as part of the to be part of the club. Anyhow, he shot a big buck over 200 pounds near the family home in Saco, Maine, in the early 1960s. Before he was assigned to be the shooter, the marksman on JFK on November 22nd of 1963. Part of the cipher describes that and how that came to be. Dick's mother and father, his actual biological mother and father, not the man who raised him, got him into Satanism and into the Masonic Church. The Masonic Church, Satanism, and basically put him in a situation where he killed his first victim at the age of 12 in the summer of 1954. A little boy named Kenny Wood from Gray, Maine. Anyhow, later on in the early 1960s, actually started one day after the man who raised Dick's birthday on June 14th of 1963, I believe. There was a string of murders which began in Boston, and eventually it became known as that person became known as the Boston Strangler. Well, you have to understand, back then, well, things are still that way now, but back then it was a much smaller world, and Dick and his family had very strong connections to the whole area of Boston and Maine, and that included state troopers who were also members of the Masonic Church, and very likely were also satanic. So it's all tied together. But long story short, the cipher indicates that on, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. On line 8 up, this is a word scramble. And basically, what it says is that he was sent to kill a Boston boy, but it also means that he was the Boston killer, is what it's trying to state here on line 8 up. And these initials over here on the right-hand side, the K, the L, the B, they align with 63, which is the assassination of Kennedy. And JFK was first and foremost a senator from Boston, Massachusetts. That's where his family had their origins were in Boston. But also Dick's origins as a serial killer go back to Boston, because that's where he killed, I believe, I don't know if the number is right, somewhere on the order of 13 or 14 women by strangulation. And he would always leave a calling card, which he would leave the scarves or whatever he had used as a ligature. He would leave them tied around his victim's neck, and that became one of his calling cards. But long story short, according to the cipher, there was a deal arranged. Apparently, Dick was a lot more bold and brazen as a young serial killer, and he was not as careful or cunning as he would later become in his later years. And it appears that what probably happened was somehow he became detected. One of the members of law enforcement likely found out that he was the actual person who was strangling women in Boston. And, well, long story short, the connections to the people in the East Coast went all the way to the federal level. And he was basically brought in with the people close to J. Edgar Hoover, who, well, made him a deal that basically it wasn't a choice on his part, but they told him that they needed somebody to shoot Kennedy, basically. And in payment for that, he would be paid untold riches. He would never have to work again in his life, but he would also be a completely untouchable man, meaning he could do anything he wanted, harm anybody that he wanted, as long as he kept everything low key on the down low. And that's what line 8 says, but also other lines. And like I said, we'll get into it in a future presentation, but these upper lines spell out, like this word right here spells out Camelot, line 3 down. And it talks, this talks about the Dallas deal, line 4 down. Line 4 down is where you insert a D as part of the replacement for the letter replacement for the cipher. So this D is replaced over here to the left of the ALL, and it's completed with the AS on this side. And all of these letters spell out a story, but they're also aligned with the birth date and death date of JFK, the 35th president of the United States. But furthermore, let's see if I can find this sheet here. Furthermore, throughout the whole cipher, it's spelled in a lot of different ways, but a big part of Dick's motivation, and now his family's motivation in unaliving people, is because he was lied to about, they never fulfilled, the people who promised him untold riches never came through and delivered financially with the promises that he was made before he agreed to assassinate the 35th president of the United States. And throughout the cipher, one thing that's repeated again and again is something called the toll. And well, the toll means different things for different people. For me, I've been targeted primarily because I am the biological son of one of Dick and his wife Mary's many victims. A man who was murdered. Well, he was lured. He was a doctor from South Lake Tahoe named Dr. Charles Hollingsworth, and my mother lured him to his death, and they did horrible things to him, but basically ended up murdering him at a place called Leviathan Mine, which is near South Lake Tahoe. It's about 20 miles away or 25 miles away. So my toll in this cipher is I've been marked for death because I am not the biological son of Dick, and among other reasons. But and also probably because I'm not a psychopathic murderer like the rest of the family, obviously. So, like I shared last time, oil and water don't mix, and good people are hated by evil people just because they're good. But anyhow, getting back to the toll, there's different tolls for the American society has a toll to pay, which has been countless people have been unalived since 1963, and Dick has relished in that, and his family now relishes in it because they know that they cannot be held accountable, because if they're ever held accountable, he is holding all kinds of secrets over many people in power, and he's threatened repeatedly that all of those secrets will be exposed. If he and his family are ever made to be held accountable, then the people in high positions of high power, the quote unquote elites, will also be exposed, if that makes any sense. But getting back to the toll is spelled out. Sometimes it's spelled TOEL. Sometimes it's spelled TOL, like it is right here, TOL. But in this situation, it's spelled out longwise, TOAL, right here in a vertical fashion. You can see it right there. Well, what this represents is they're 5 in from right to left, and the T's represent, basically they can represent the targeted individual, which in this case was the 35th President of the United States, and they're at position, they're 1, 2, 3, and they're all at position 5 in from right to left. So that indicates what this is all about, which all goes back to Kennedy's assassination and the things that were promised and were never delivered. And as you can see, the third T here aligns with the word wallet. And once again, what he's saying here is there was a deal in Dallas, and you guys did not come. You guys lied to me. You jilted me. Everybody else became rich, very wealthy over the Vietnam War that ensued after this. And basically, I'm gonna get even. I'm gonna fix your ass. I'm gonna fix all of your asses before I leave this planet, because you fucking lied to me. Okay, that's what that says right there. And the people that have had to pay the price have included countless children, including JonBenet Ramsey, which we'll get to in another presentation. But she's mentioned down in the lower level on the 4th line up from the bottom to the right side. But the whole line describes what they did to JonBenet Ramsey. And the reason they did it is tied to line, this fourth line down. Basically, it says QED. Basically, on line 4 up from the bottom says QED, which means they're tied together. Because you lied to me about, you didn't come through, you lied to me and did not pay me, then the toll to be paid, see TOAL, it's mentioned verbosely throughout the whole cipher, repeatedly in different manners. The toll that must be paid is paid in blood, and it's been paid in blood with countless men, women, and children over 63 years now. And right here, the first three T's represent, like I said, a targeted individual. In the Z408 cipher going back to 1969, the place that Dick hid his name as RR Nolette has an upside down T, and that is a mathematical symbol for perpendicular, which translates to the crosshair symbol, which was the zodiac symbol. But what most people, aside from select people in the know, the quote-unquote elites, what most people don't know is that symbol represents what he was paid to do in Dallas on November 22nd of 1963, which was to fire that shot from behind the picket fence at the railroad yard up above the grassy knoll. And that's what all of this goes back to. That's why Nancy was unalived on February 1st of this year. Well, that and that his family, this whole family is satanic, and all of these killings are also satanic sacrifices. So there's a lot of vengeance involved, but there's also their satanic, quote-unquote, religious reasons. But right here, we have three T's at the 3-5 position, which equal the 35th President of the United States, JFK. Once again, the wallet. And before I forget to mention it, this final T, I'm not going to explain it in detail here, but this final T ties into the spelling of the Nolette name. And it also translates to the word lector. I've explained that in detail at a different presentation. All of it breaks down to right here. By replacement, letter replacement. This is a letter replacement cipher. All of these positions, basically the letters E, C, and R are replaced on top of where that T is at the end of wallet. And it spells lector. So basically it's telling the same story. It's saying you guys are responsible for all this mayhem and murder that's been done because you did not follow through. You lied to us. And so Dick has been getting his vengeance for 63 long years now. But that's this situation with the T once again lines up with this T, which is the final T on the wallet. Continuing down here, the letters O. These four O's are aligned at position 4-5. See, it's 5 in from right to left, and then basically there's 4 of them. That indicates the 45th President of the United States, which was our current president in his first term. What Dick is indicating here, as he quite often mentions on his website, which is this website right here. He mentions on this website, either daily or at least weekly, that he was supposed to have a deal with, basically, I don't know the exact year, but very recently, going back to about 2017 or so, according to him, he had made arrangements with somebody high up in the Department of Justice to get a pardon for not only him, but also for his son and his grandson, who are members of this organization now. They're the second and third generation, or actually the third and fourth generation of a serial killer family. Anyhow, according to him, when he writes on his website under the name Rubyslaw32, and once again, this website is called ZodiacKillerMystery.com. It's freeforums.net/thread/183 /Zodiacs-340-Cipher-Final Solution. Once again, his name is Rubislaw, Rubislaw 32, and he prefers to be called the captain. But he mentions on there all the time about how somebody high up, close to Mr. Barr, I don't know if it was Mr. Barr himself, but if not, somebody very close to him had made arrangements to arrange a complete pardon for all of the members of the Nolette family, and then they've basically they backed out of the whole deal, and so he's very angry about that. But so that was around 2017. By 2019, they had created this Burger Chef cipher, which in large part is said to be their final solution, their quote-unquote final solution. But it includes the targeted murders of at least 6 people, including Nancy Guthrie, my best friend Nestor Gillen, and several others. It likely included the murder of a woman whose body was found up in Big Sur on the 9th of April of this year. Her name was Joanna Ruth Shields, and I believe that the local coroner there, I don't think he's being truthful as far as what Miss Shields died from, because my brother appeared here on my doorstep on my door camera on the 8th of April of this year, and Miss Shields' body was found the day later, the morning after, up in Big Sur in a very shallow stream, and every indication says that she was strangled, and she's also I believe she's mentioned here in the cipher as well. But moving on, I think we'll start to get to the point that I'm trying to get to today, which I want to discuss one of 2 double murders which occurred in Oregon at a place called Oak Ridge, Oregon. It's actually called Staley Creek. That was the specific location and the campgrounds, but it's very close to Oak Ridge, Oregon. And the reason I have these sticks up here, by the way, are the words, the word Lona, basically, this has to come up a little bit. As I described in the Nancy Guthrie case, there are different words and messages hidden all throughout this cipher. It's a very, very complex cipher, and it's incredibly hard to decipher or to figure out, but it's also incredibly difficult to properly explain. So right here, the L, the O on line, this is line 7 up, the L, the O, the N, and the A connect to the birth year of Nancy Guthrie's daughter, Savannah, which was 1971, the same as mine, same birth year as mine. So right there, the blue L, then the red O over here, basically, and then going down here to the N, the yellow N, and the A on the opposite side. That spells out the short word for Alona, which is means oak tree in Hebrew. But the full name of Alona begins down here at the lower right side. And in order to spell that, oh, by the way, before I forget to mention, the first way you spell it is in the shape of a Z. Lona goes from left to right, then back down over here, and basically forms the shape of a Z. And most of the messages from top to bottom are hidden in the shape of a Z, which is it's basically the way he has hidden his signature in here. It's a way to tell us that, another way to tell us that this is all designed by the 84-year-old man that is known as Zodiac. In actuality, this whole puzzle is designed by 4 different men, though. It's designed by Zodiac, his son, his grandson, and his close relative from the South, who primarily is involved in electronics, computers, and he's the bomb builder of the whole family. But basically, so when you spell it out in the form of a Z, it's the shortened version of Alona, which is Lona. It all means the same thing. It means oak tree. However, in order to spell out the full name, you begin over here at the A in the lower right corner. And what we do is we trace the form of an X, or some might call it an hourglass, which is like the sand-filled hourglass, which is the sands of time. Anyhow, so A, then L up here to the upper left, O to the right side, N back over here to the lower left, and then return to the A where we started over here on the lower right side. What we end up getting is an X shape. What this is telling us, well, like I said before, it can also be interpreted as the hourglass of time. And this is all designed. The person in charge is the 84-year-old man who is the king of all killers. He's the serial killer of all time. Like I said, he's definitely killed in the 4-digit range, whether it be under 2,000 or over 6,000. I have no idea, but it likely falls within that range. Like I said, anywhere from the low 2,000s to the low 6,000s. But nobody, there's a lot of people from local law enforcement all the way up to federal law enforcement that have known about this for decades, and everybody seems to be, just fine and dandy with the knowledge of this person, and now another 2 generations of this serial killer family being out there and quote unquote doing their thing. Getting back to this, the X shape is another type of signature from the Zodiac killer, and what X stands for, or has come to stand for over generations now, stands for many different things, but X is somebody that is marked to be the victim. Okay, X means a generalized victim, a person that's been selected as the targeted individual now. But X also goes all the way back to a fall day, November 22nd of 1963 in Dallas, Texas, in Dealey Plaza. There's still an X at 498 Oak Street, which is the address they give to the spot that JFK was shot from the grassy knoll, the final shot that blew the top of his skull off. Anyhow, his car was at 498 Oak Street. I don't know if I'm getting that right. I believe I'm getting it right. Well, the address for sure is 498, and I know he was shot. There were oak trees on the grassy knoll where he was shot. I actually think the name of the street is Elm Street. But once again, there were oak trees there that he shot. On the grassy knoll, there's still oak trees, and oak trees were a part of the whole scenery, and I imagine they were a part of what gave Dick his cover that morning. Just 1 second, please. All right, I'm back. So once again, it was 498 Elm Street was the location in Dallas. However, there were oak trees on the grassy knoll, and there still are, which gave Dick the cover to hide, in addition to hiding behind the picket fence at the top of the hill. Elm Street was the name of the street. Here, though, what the reason that this is hidden in the shape of an X is this is the foundation of the Burger Chef Cipher. This is why all of this is being committed. Because of the Dallas deal, which, like I said, again, is mentioned and described in the upper levels up here. We'll get to it in another presentation. The X is saying that all of this is happening because you guys lied to me. You did not deliver on the deal that we had in Dallas. And in retaliation, as the quote-unquote toll, all of these people have been unalived, and at least 6 people in this Burger Chef Cipher have been selected to furtherance of that toll. And I'm just going to basically he's making a public spectacle out of this. He wants to embarrass and shame the 3-letter organizations who ordered the assassination of JFK, including J. Edgar Hoover himself. He wants to bring the truth out into the light of day, but he also wants to shame all of those people and the families that were involved in ordering the assassination of JFK, because a lot of people became very, very wealthy over assassinating JFK, because JFK was all about peace, and there's a great chance that the Vietnam War would have never happened if JFK had been remained president. At least it probably would not have happened on the scale that it did, and it would not have happened at all during his presidency. So a lot of people were naturally driven by money. They wanted to get him out of the way. And once they were able to get him out of the way, a lot of people, like I said, became very wealthy over the Vietnam War and other endeavors that would not have happened had JFK remained president and had he not been assassinated. All right, let's move on. Let's see. So I just want to include this. This is going to be for the other presentation that I do on the 2 double murders in the Northwest. But this man here, his name is Dave Toshi, or I don't know how you pronounce his last name. I want to say Toshi. But anyhow, he was a famous detective, murder detective, homicide detective from San Francisco. And he was the nemesis of the man who raised me, the Zodiac. And the double murder that we're going to discuss in the next presentation, not this one here, but the next one that will come up hopefully in a few days. That one happened at Pinnacle Lake, Washington, and it happened on the 75th birthday of this man here. Once again, the nemesis of the Zodiac, Dave Toshi or Toski. Anyhow, all of this was timed. A lot of the murders, including the murder that happened on July 11th of 2006 at Pinnacle Lake, they've been very meticulously timed to happen at a specific place and time. And I'll get into more of that, like I said, when I do that presentation in the next couple days. But I just wanted to show you a picture of him. So part of the reason I'm doing a presentation on, well, part of the reason I work so hard on this presentation is the murder I'm about to discuss, the double murder, it actually included the murder of the dog of this couple, and we'll get to it in a second here. But in the cipher, a lot of the clues that I was able to discover are tied to references to their dog. The couple's dog was named Caesar, and he was also murdered in this whole debacle. But let me give you a picture of them. So this is these are the two victims here, and their names are Stefan Lynn Hagen. He's the gentleman to the right here, and his girlfriend's name was Jeanette Bauman, and she's here on the left. But they were both school teachers, and by all accounts, were said to be really great, kind people. Very loving, very helpful, and looked like they enjoyed each other's company also, and enjoyed the outdoors. But once again, that's a photo of them, and probably not too long before they were attacked in the dark at a place called Staley Creek, which once again is by Oak Ridge, Oregon. So let's see. And like I said, that X at the bottom, that I just described to you, that has many references, but what it describes is an oak tree, and the oak tree is a symbol that runs throughout a lot of the stories of the Zodiac, whether it be his attack at Lake Berryessa, or he left acorns at his attack at the cabin 28 in Ketty, California. There were oak trees from the very get-go at Dallas, Texas, on the area that's known as the Grassy Knoll. So, but we'll also get to it in another presentation. I want to do a presentation on one thing that he put in the quote-unquote ransom notes for Nancy Guthrie. There never was an abduction. All of that was just to control the narrative. But the buried with nature, some people say buried with nature, and some people say buried in nature. I wish they could just get one fucking detail right. They lie about everything. The media are a bunch of fucking liars, and every bit of law enforcement from Pima County are a bunch of fucking liars, okay? Sorry for swearing, but I'm going to say fuck every time I fucking feel like it from now on, by the way. Write it in the comments if you don't like it. I don't give a flying fuck. Anyhow, getting back to them. They're a bunch of fucking liars, from the federal all the way to the local Pima County. Everybody is fucking lying, okay? And they're all covering their ass over one thing or another, and it describes it here in the cipher, okay? And in the Scorpion cipher, which, by the way, I've spent 4 years of my fucking life deciphering this, probably over 20,000 hours at this point now, and I haven't made one fucking nickel, okay? I'm doing this for the victims and for their families, and for them to know what the fuck happened to their family members, okay? That's why I'm doing it. So, anybody doesn't like me swearing, go fucking somewhere else, okay? I'm not here to become a fucking YouTube star. I do not give a shit whether you like me, whether you dislike me. I don't give a flying fucking fuck, okay? Sorry, I had to get that out. I feel a little bit better. Anyhow, where were we? So, getting back to the cipher. These are the people that we're going to talk about today. These two people here, okay? The why on why we're here today. We're not here to listen to Rich swear, but once in a while when I do get emotional, I swear. So that's a part of who I am. Just live with it. Um, so Jeanette Bauman was born in 1948 on October 16th. Stefan Lynn Hagen was a gentleman. He was born on December 27th of 1950. So going by these numbers are where we have to begin, and also knowing that their dog was involved in this brutality also, and his name was Caesar. Throughout this puzzle, almost everything is mentioned. Any kind of saying or long word is usually spelled out in a phonetic fashion. Phonetic fashion, which means it's spelled like a child might spell it. It's not spelled in proper English. I was an English major at UC Davis. You might not believe it after that little swearing session. I apologize, but I need to get it out of my system. Anyhow, in the cipher here, the word Caesar is spelled out in these two lines, S-A-I right here, and S-U-A-R here. Say, suar. Believe it or not, those two lines equal Caesar. I know it's hard to believe, but I've only spent maybe 4,000 hours to figure that out, guys. That all aligns with the birth dates, I believe, of Stefan Hagen. But those two words equal the name of their dog, which was Caesar. Throughout this cipher, the name of the dog or reference to the dog is one of our major starting points. Whether it be up here on line 4 down, the word God, it actually, these people are, my family of origin are from what's called the left-hand path, which is another way to describe different forms of satanic churches. And left hand goes all the way back to the Latin word, which means sinister. So left meant sinister. So all the way back to ancient times, the word left in Latin, like I said, has meant sinister. So that's carried over to modern times, where left-hand path becomes basically the sinister or evil ones or satanic ones. So getting back to this line, G-O-D here actually spells the word dog from right to left. And we'll get back to that. But the spot I wanted to start at, describing this cipher is one of the most challenging things I've ever done, guys, by the way. It was very difficult to figure out, but it's even more difficult to actually put it into words and to describe it. I'm going to give it my best shot here for the next hour or so. But also, this might be just a rough draft. I might have to come back to it and try to describe it in a different fashion later if I feel like this falls short or I'm not able to fully describe it. That S there, this S is on line 5 up. So from the bottom up is line 5. What that represents is the name Stefan. The reason it's on line 5 up is Stefan was born in 1950, and this S is at the 5 position, combined with that O is supposed to be 1950. But also, this whole line 5 represents the year 2005, which was when the murders at Oak Ridge, Oregon occurred. So if we go up to the K up here on line 8, that represents the word killed. So basically this is telling us killed at Oak Ridge, Oregon. The O and the O equals Oak Ridge, Oregon. The S is the male victim's name, Stefan, who was born in 1950 and murdered in 2005. So lines 5 and 7 combine, whether it be lines 5 and 7 down or lines 5 and 7 up. they both combine to tell us the story, but also there's a lot of lines everywhere from line 4 to 8 in each direction, and all the lines in between tell the whole story about what happened. The reason that is so is because, where is her card? Miss Jeanette Bauman was born in 1948, and the reason that all the information is contained within the lines 4 and 8 is it goes back to the year 1948. So 4 and 8 equals 1948. So it's hard to explain, but that's the reason why all the information falls within those guidelines. So once again, Stavon, it can also mean the location too. The location was technically Staley Creek is what they call it. So the S can also be Staley Creek, Oak Ridge, Oregon. And like I said, the line on line 8 here, the K means killed. Killed at Oak Ridge, Oregon, Stavon, but also, once again, it goes with the OO, Staley Creek, okay? Then we continue over here. Stavon's middle name was Lynn, and it's spelled with 2 N's, Lynn. But here in the cipher, it's spelled with 1 N, but that is his name, okay? Basically, his name is spelled out in the shape of an L, which once again goes back to the left-hand path, and a lot of the clues in this, a lot of the answers in this cipher are either in the shape of a Z or an L, and the L, once again, takes us back to what's called the left-hand path, and I just described a little bit about that. So the Lin goes up here, and throughout this cipher, one thing you have to realize is the letter L. The letter L is actually, some of the time it represents letter L, but most of the time it represents an angular J. Just picture as seen from behind. The letter L looks like an angular J as if we were looking at it from behind. And the family of origin I come from, they don't consider themselves to be a part of normal society. The way that they're between their religious beliefs and the way that they see themselves in the world, they're operating from their own separate existence. And so they're looking at everybody else as if they're looking into a fishbowl, or maybe through a microscope. But they're observers and they're predators. They're not a part of quote unquote society. If that makes any sense to you. So once again, the L's in here equals J. So that's really important to remember, because as we get up here to the blue L, which represents the first letter of Stavon's middle name, this also represents Jeanette, the first letter of Jeanette. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's a position 7-1, which was the date of the murder. This whole line here, 7 up as well as 7 down, each of them represent the month of July, July of 2005. So that was when both of the victims, Stavon and Jeanette, were murdered along with their dog, Caesar. So that he's connecting everything from the middle name of Stavon. In all of the name for Stavon is spelled out in the shape of an L, as you can see, beginning with the S, and then continuing over to the L in Lynn. And then we have another L, which is actually, like I said, an angular J. Some of the symbols in this puzzle are not just letters, but actually are symbols that represent another letter altogether. And that's how this is right here. On this line, some of the words that are described are lake and the mountains, and it has a lot to do with the location. But it also describes, in the summer of 2005, Dick's best friend, who is a former longtime law enforcement officer from Napa, very highly decorated and well thought of, quote-unquote gentleman, spotless reputation. Anyhow, he was looking for a home within an hour of this murder site, and him and his wife ended up buying one. They closed escrow a few months later in the fall of 2005 on their property there. But what this line is indicating is that the Dick's best friend, who, like I said, is this law enforcement officer, this line indicates that he was involved in the murders of these two school teachers at Staley Creek, Oak Ridge, Oregon. And it also indicates that he was responsible for the murder of a woman in the mountains. And I don't know if they meant Jeanette, the murder of her, or if they're talking about another murder, but they're definitely implicating, and this is the same line, by the way, that is used to implicate the sheriff in Pima County, and they're in that instance, it describes the lake and describes that nobody can get to the lake because of the sheriff. And once again, the sheriff from the law enforcement officer from Napa is described here. And like I said, his initials are GS, and he's in his 80s. And Dick has so much hanging over that person's head that he is actually indicated in one of the plots to attack me here in this, where it begins with a W down here. Basically, this spells out old law enforcement officer. One of the plans to attack me includes sending his old buddy GS, Officer GS, retired from the Napa Police Department, out to abduct me. I imagine in an armed fashion, probably with assistance. But that's what this line here indicates. And it ties in right here. And you see the word net. The word net repeats in this cipher, and it's in this case, it's in one way it's used to describe the murder of Nancy Guthrie, but in another instance it's described to basically set up the plot to entrap me into a situation where they can torture me, rape me, and eventually murder me with the assistance of law enforcement. And there's different law enforcement officers that are mentioned. Most of them that are mentioned in the cipher originate from Napa, including Officer W, who is a long-term best friend of my brother, Mike, but is also a part of a group of guys that graduated from Napa High School in their early 90s, and a lot of them became law enforcement officers, but they're also a member of the secret satanic church that is run by the man that raised me, Dick Nolette. And it's called the Temple of Set. And this whole cipher has to do with that Temple of Set. And anyhow, there's just a lot of quote unquote very good police officers that are actually satanic. They're basically wolves in sheep clothing, and they pretend to be one thing. In actuality, they're complete monsters, long story short. So let me get back to describing things. Let's see. So this whole cipher tells a story. It just takes forever to figure out even one little piece of what the story is that it's telling us. And the I guess we'll go back to the top. We'll begin at the top again. All right. So right here at the top, these L's, the L's at basically the 7th position, the 2nd position, and the 12th position. You can count from left to right or right to left. I'm not going to explain how you can count. You can count any way you want in this cipher. And if you need reference, you can go back to my previous videos and watch those. They're long and boring, but they explain all of this in detail. Basically, the L's here, though, they align with the birth date of Stefan, which was 12/27, December 27th of 1950. And they're in the form of the L's because, like I said before, the L's equal J. So he's representing Jeanette by the symbol, the L symbol, which actually represents a J. He's representing Jeanette. But by position, which once again is 12/27, this one, and this, let's see, 16, this one, the L in the yellow, this L over here at the 7th position, and the second one in, those equal the birth date of Stefan, who was the owner of the dog Caesar, who, like I said, was also murdered on the same evening of July 1st of 2005. Well, on this line 4 down, the letters D and Q are replaced on this line. And it basically, from right to left, it has a little saying, which is supposed to be funny. It's a sadistic joke because these are sadistic people. And, well, of course, sadistic people have sadistic jokes, which makes sense, right? And basically it says some Saco, by the way, is where the man who raised me, Dick Nolette, is from. He was born and raised in a place called Saco, Maine, which is not too far from Boston. But Sako is supposed to be Saco, Maine. And this whole area corresponds to the as above, so below. So the upper right 4 position combines with the lower left position, which has a lot of different meanings. Once again, all of these symbols, even letter S, in different situations, it means a lot of different things. And that is a term that's called polysemous. And I explain that in detail in other presentations as well. So what I'm saying is, if anybody watches this presentation and says, well, but, I thought you said S meant this, I meant that. No, in this situation, I'm saying S represents Saco. In another situation, it means killed at Staley Creek. S means Staley. Staley. Combines down here. The lower left corner is also for position 4, as in 4/8, 1948, which represents the birth year of Jeanette Bauman. Yeah, am I getting that right? Anyhow, Jeanette, this is mentioning Jeanette, okay? And it says killed at Staley. Down here, the K is the 3rd letter in the abbreviation for creek. We get the first 2 letters by substitution. The line below, we insert a C and an R. Those are the letters that have been omitted, okay? Because they're the 3rd and the 18th letter of the alphabet. So C and R are replaced here to spell out the words cruelty. And then it says clarocracy, So basically, they're saying there's another little inside joke. They're saying cruelty. Yes, clearly it's cruelty. But anyhow, the letters C and R on line 3 combine with the first letter, which is K, on the fourth line to give us the location of where Jeanette Bauman was murdered, which was Steely Creek in Oak Ridge, Oregon. And see right here at 3, these two O's equal Oak Ridge, Oregon. You got to imagine a C and an R right here combining with that K. CRK. O and O is Oak Ridge, Oregon, okay? And in a second, I'm going to, in a little while, I'll show you where there's two word scrambles for the word Staley, which is location. Staley Creek is the specific location. I'll show you the location of those, but right now, each of those locations, those word scrambles, spell out Staley, but it's minus the letter E. Well, the letter E does appear, but it only appears right here on the fourth line. And the reason that it appears here in the net is this E represents the middle name of Jeanette Bauman, which was Elaine. So he's saying that Elaine was caught in his net, okay? And throughout this whole area, there's different things that are abbreviated that have to do with fishing. Over here, we have the word bait from top to bottom right here, BAIT. So, and then on one of these lines, there's the word rod. Basically, there's a lot of different things that represent things to do with fishing. But the most important thing is the word net here. And this is where he represents a lot of his victims, is on the corners. The first three letters on the fourth line up and the fourth line down, whether it be the quote-unquote hack sack in the case of Nancy Guthrie, or in this case, it's the net for Jeanette Bauman, which is, once again, the letter E represents her middle name. I did not finish describing up here. I did say that this represents his hometown, Saco, Maine, Sako, once again spelled phonetically. Don't expect proper spelling in this because you're not going to get it. That's another form of obfuscation. There's many levels of obfuscation in this puzzle, and that's just another tactic to conceal, to deceive, and to basically keep everything hidden. The word occulted or occult or occulted means hidden, and you have to discover the techniques and tactics used. There's many tactics used to great effect in this puzzle, and I've spent 4,000 hours on this specific puzzle, 20,000 or so in the last 4 years, trying to decipher everything from the Z408 cipher in 1969 all the way through the Scorpion cipher. That's where I spent the bulk of my time, was on the Scorpion cipher. And that I spent probably 12,000 hours or so on, and I did get a lot of information, though, as far as my personal history, and also all the way going back to the actual truth about JFK and who ordered that, and a lot of the details are included in the Scorpion cipher as far as that's concerned. But going back to this, once again, we see the repeated O's, which on one level represents Oak Ridge, Oregon, okay? And like I said, I just showed you the Steely Creek, how it connects as above, so below. It connects to the CRK, which together is Staley Creek, which is where Jeanette, her partner, and their dog were murdered on the 1st of July of 2005. Once again, Oak Ridge, Oregon, OO. But when we insert the letter D throughout this line, this whole line, we insert D at various locations. We get a little joke. It's basically a saying, and I don't know if I'm getting it exactly right. I'm probably not. I'll give it a shot anyhow. It says a joke about killing their dog, basically, and says something like, Sakoola, doo old doggy die, doggy life, flyola, dalla. So once again, Sakoola, doo old doggy die, doggy life, flyola, and then dalla. And I might be missing part of the joke, but it's definitely a joke about shooting the dog, and and it goes along with the wallet and not being paid. So it's saying that even the murder of Caesar the dog was tied to all the way back to 1963, and the people, basically the elites that promised Dick to be paid a handsome ransom for assassinating JFK. A part of that toll is the dog Caesar as well, which seems horrible on one hand and ridiculous on the other hand, and I don't know. Thankfully I'm not satanic, I'm not sadistic, and I don't hold a grudge like the rest of my family, but I'm just doing the best I can here to describe the cipher, trying my best to keep emotion and swearing out of it, but sometimes I am a human person, so I'm going to forgive myself, and hopefully anybody that was offended by my language can do so also. But if you don't like it, please don't watch, because like I said, I haven't made a nickel on this, and I'm not trying to become a YouTube star. I'm doing this for law enforcement, which on one hand, I don't want to say they disgust me, but I don't respect law enforcement. I fear law enforcement. Basically, you cannot tell the good from the bad when they all put their badges, their guns, and their clean little uniforms on. But I would say 25 to 33% of them are out and out control freaks, all the way to psychopaths with a badge. So that's what you get. You get some good and some bad, like anywhere else. But it seems like it attracts a lot of really bad people. But I am hoping that there are some good ones still in law enforcement, and that they will get a hold of me and see how much time I've put into this deciphering of this and getting people answers. And this is where your answers are to be found. And I'm the only person that's going to put this time into it. So anyhow, let's get back to this. So I gotta find. I'll go through the cards this might not make sense, but I'm just going to go through the cards because I've got a stack of cards that describe each thing. And I want to make sure I do every bit. Line 5 down. Once again, it's 2005. Okay, that was the year of the murders. The two lines that describe the years are 5 up, and it's in each direction. So lines 5 and 7. Okay, up or down, it's 2005. And 7 is the month of July. Line 5 down says, I die yo Rio, which means I killed them at the river Staley Creek. The message is aligned with the numbers 1227, which is the birth date of Stephen Haugen. Once again, if I'm repeating, I don't care. I'm tired. I'd rather do anything but explain the fucking actions of my fucking demented family, okay? If you guys think I'm enjoying this, think again, because I really am not. I don't like the attention. I don't like the fact that I'm having to explain the sins of people that I'm basically not even related to. And I don't know. This shit is just getting really old because nobody from law enforcement has stepped in to do the right thing, as far as I'm aware. And they're still saying, "Oh, Nancy Guthrie was abducted," and the the mafia. Or what are they saying today? They say that she was trafficked to Mexico. Now, sorry to be offensive to anybody over 80, but who the fuck wants an 80-something-year-old? Who the fuck is going to sex traffic an 80-something-year-old woman? My apologies to anybody I've offended, but I don't think there's a big market for 80-something-year-old. We'll just leave it at that. I was going to say something else. So TTOOLA, it's spelled toll, TOAL, just so you guys know. TO with 4 O's, 3 A's, starts right there, 3 A's down, and then finishes at the L right there. So, and once again, that's all a part of the Dallas deal. Those in power made promises to Dick, and well, part of the reason that, well, he's been murdering for 63 years because, well, he started when he was 12 and he has an addiction to hurting people and murdering people, but apparently he has doubled down because he was lied to about what he would be paid to assassinate JFK, and that's one of his primary motivations is vengeance against those in power and those people that lied to him. I'm going through each of these just to repeat. The word Alona also forms an hourglass shape. It's a marker of minutes, the life of both the victim and the collector of souls too. He's getting 84 years old. I don't know if he wants to come out from under the rock or the shadows where he's hiding and wants his quote-unquote flowers or what he wants, but he definitely wants to embarrass those in power, and that was one of the reasons him and his family did the hit on Nancy Guthrie in Arizona. Once again, BAL, we'll get to that. BAL equals lab, and the God on the top that we were just looking at equals dog. They all equal Caesar. OO throughout the whole cipher, at least in this context, it means Oak Ridge, Oregon. Before I forget, one of the big things, let's see. One of the big things, and one of the first things I saw in this whole puzzle that your eye is drawn to, I think I have to retouch some of these letters, but this says 2 and 2 right here, 2 and 2, and that means many different things in this puzzle. One of the things it means is the weapon that they were used to finish off the victims at Oak Ridge, Oregon, is one of the finest, nicest weapons in the collection of the Nolette family. It's been used in countless murders throughout the whole country. Likely, it was purchased by Dick in the early '60s through mail order catalog when you could still do that. But what it is it's a competition. Basically, it's a .22 caliber competition pistol that was made in Belgium, in the country of Belgium. It's called a Browning. That's the brand. It's a Browning Medalist pistol, and like I said, that may have been the pistol that killed my actual biological father. It was either that pistol or a .357. What's called a Colt Python .357 caliber pistol. One of those two pistols were used to kill my own biological father, but the .22 pistol was the gun that was used at short range to kill all of deliver the coup de grace, the final blow, after they were shot at distance with a higher caliber rifle, at Oak Ridge, Oregon. And all of this was done in the darkness, by the way, and I'll show that line in a little bit. But going back to the 2 and 2, so it describes what it's really describing. It describes a lot of different things. This outlines that there's going to be 6 future victims, which technically it says 2 and 2, but then there's another 2 here, which means 6 total future victims, which unfortunately I'm described as being 1. But 6 total future victims of the Burger Chef cipher. But what this also describes is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's on line 6 and 7. And basically 7 is the month of July. It describes the 2 double murders from 2005 and 2006, both July of both of those. One in Oregon, which, like I said, Oak Ridge, Oregon, right here, and the other one is Pinnacle Lake, and we'll get to more descriptions on that in the next presentation. But 2 and 2, in one instance, it's a description of 2 double murders, and the position that it's at basically describes both are on the month of July, and one is in the 6th, 1, 2, 3, 4. One is in the 6th year, but the other one is in the 5th year. But they all go back to this on line 7. Once again, 2 and 2 is 2 double murders, and then the 2 and 2 and 2 equals 6 total, which in another different context indicates the future targeted murders of 6 individuals. I don't know if I repeated myself, but anyhow, thank you. So I just said it there. So Oak Ridge, Oregon, but also the weapon used, which was a .22 caliber handgun. Like I said, it's the beautiful Browning. It's a target pistol called a Browning Medalist, and it was made in the 1960s. It's got cherry wood stocks and has a thumb rest at the top. A very nice target pistol. Let's see. So we've talked about this. Alona means the oak tree, and it's in the shape of an X. Means a targeted victim. Goes all the way back, harkens back to the X in Dealey Plaza on 498 Elm Street, right below the grassy knoll, which has a scattering of oak trees, which was part of the cover that Dick hid behind the picket fence, but also the oak trees gave him a lot of cover as well. I don't have these cards in any order, so sorry if this is bouncing around, guys, but this is the way we're going to do it today. The reason that everything is scattered from top to bottom, left to right, and all over the place, the reason that everything is scattered around is because of the word plausible deniability. And basically, if anybody were to bring this into a court of law, it makes it very hard to prove the connections, although everything does line up according to the birth date and death date of each victim, as well as a lot of times the locations, like the address with Nancy Guthrie, for instance. But anyhow, that's one of the reasons they spread everything out like that. I just want to make sure I go through all these cards, guys, and then we'll get back to the cipher. So like I said before, 5 up or 5 down equals the year 2005. And when we get into 2006 next time in the presentation for Pinnacle Lake, on the trail to Pinnacle Lake, 2006 will be line 6 down and 6 up in a similar fashion. But for each of the double murders, The line 7 up and 7 down equal July, so it equals the month of July. And like I showed you at the very beginning, the S at the corner of line 5 on the right there equals both 1950, but also all of line 5 equals 2005. Then lines 4 and 8, most of the time they equal the birth year of Jeanette Bauman. I guess I'll point this out. Lassie also equals, is another way of describing Caesar. Caesar is described in many different ways in this Burger Chef cipher. Thankfully, I was able to see a lot of them. Repeatedly, he's described as a BAL or LAB, which is a lab. He was a lab mix. On the 8th line down on the left side, he's described as Lassie, which is spelled Lasi here. But Lassie also means it's a Scottish term for an affectionate term for a young woman. So he could have been referring to Jeanette Bauman as well, because the I aligns with position 4-8, which once again is the birth date of Jeanette. And once again, the LASI that I was talking about is right here. Like I said, line 8 down. The I is at position 4. So, and over here, the word yo is there. They have a specific language. I've described this in other presentations too. The word yo equals to kill, means either somebody that's been marked for death, there's a planned murder, or one that has already been committed. And in this case, the I he's basically saying, I killed the person at 4-8, which is Jeanette Bauman. YO equals murdered. And basically this probably means female, and then the dog right there, those letters here. Let's see. We're gonna go over to the place over here. Basically, on this line here where it says king, it's hard for me to see it through my camera here, guys, but I'm pointing at it. So on this line here, we replace with the letters L and I, and what he's saying is that he's the king of killing right here. When we do the letter replacement of L and I, he's saying that he's the king of killing. And then on the next line down, he starts spelling it out. This line here, we replace an H here. This is letters H and M are replaced on the 8th line up and down. So SOT from left to right, we insert an H here, it becomes shot. So basically it's saying he shot in the mountains. This replaces N and G on this line, the mountains. Then on this line it says dead, DED, and then LAB, spelled from right to left here, is he's saying how he shot the lab. He shot the lab dead in the mountains. And that there were no tears. He didn't cry. He wasn't sad about it. So let's see. So I already shared this one. Line 4 down equals 17 up. And basically, this is hard to make sense of, but he does this a lot, or they do this a lot throughout the cipher. The numbers can be reversed. So even though it's 17, it can also represent 7-1. So I believe he's representing both here. He's representing 4 down relates to Jeanette Bauman, but 17 represents to the date of the murder, which is July 1st, 7/1. So I don't know if that makes any sense, guys, but basically, because it's line 17 from bottom up, like count from the bottom up, it's number 17. That relates to the date, which he just flipped. I know it's complicated and it doesn't make sense, but you have to figure out how they think and then go with it. And that was his logic on that. But also lines 4 down in position 8 corresponds to Jeanette's birth date, which was 1948. And like I said before, KAS in this particular instance means killed at Staley, and it combines with the K, the equal but opposite K down here in the lower left, which on line 3 up, the two letters that are replaced are letters C and R. So we get CRK. So combined with the S up here, it's Staley, Creek, and then the OO, well, possibly even the N in this instance, but throughout the cipher, OO is Oak Ridge, Oregon. So it's giving us the location once again. I guess I just wrote it out there. Lower left, so the letter K combines with CR. It's replaced on lines below to form the word creek. And once again, creek is abbreviated with CRK. So you get between the S up above and then the CRK at the equal but opposite position on the lower left of the cipher. On lines 3, the corner of lines 3 and 4 become CRK. So you take those together and you get Staley Creek. And finally, the E, there's two lines that spell out Staley, and I'll show those to you in a little bit, but they do not have an E in them. And I believe that the only E in this whole situation was supposed to be this one here, which represents, once again, 4. It's not at position 4-8, but because it's on line 4 and other symbols represent Jeanette on this line. And I'll get to those right now, I guess. Anyhow, that means Elaine. That's her middle name, Elaine. On this line, the double L's represent J's. Once again, like I explained before, letters L represent J in this case, which represents Jeanette. She was 56 years old when the time she was murdered, and these are at positions 5 and 6 on line 4. So line 4 represents 1948, her birth year, but this represents her age, 5 and 6, 1950, or not 1956, but just the age that she was at her time of death, 56. OO is Oak Ridge, Oregon. Okay. Yeah, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the T, there's a double T here. The double T represents that there are 2 targeted victims, okay? And one of them is at position 4-8, which represents Jeanette. And the other represents, obviously, her partner, Stevan. But T, like I tried to explain before, equals target or targeted individual, person selected for murder. And once again, this is at position 4-8, which represents Jeanette. I know it's complicated, guys, but this was put together by a person who is a computer expert and does computer coding. And you know how complicated that is. I could never make any sense out of any of that. But that's the kind of coding that he's capable of. And also, at least 2 of these men are in their 80s, and they were trained by 3 of basically all of the 3-letter organizations they've been lifelong members of, and they know all of their ins and outs and the different ways to make a cipher, to build it from the ground up and to make it as confusing as possible. And I'm trying to simplify it as much as I can, but I'm finding it very difficult and frustrating. The explaining part of it is much more difficult than I could have expected, and I'm having a hard time even explaining how difficult that is for me. But I'm still pressing on, and hopefully there's still some of you that are loyal to me and my cause. I do really appreciate the few of you that have been in my corner from day one, and didn't mean to offend anybody by swearing, but please expect more swearing because that's a part of. Sorry, this might sound like gratuitous swearing, but when I get emotional, just a little bit of fucking swearing helps me with my nerves. And I know it doesn't sound like the most intelligent thing in the world. I apologize for that, but that's the real me. Okay. I just, once in a while, I need to swear. And this stuff is really frustrating. So many innocent people have been hurt, killed, their lives permanently ruined by the group of people that I called my family of origin. And one of the big reasons I'm here trying to explain this, and like I said, I haven't been paid one red nickel for any of this, and it just gets really frustrating feeling like it's going absolutely nowhere, like I'm just spinning my wheels. But I am not trying to become a celebrity. The name that I carry is not even my name. If hopefully you guys aren't, I think the smarter of you guys will understand this, but the ones that can't, I guess you're just too fucking dense and you probably shouldn't even be here watching this presentation, to tell you the truth. No offense, but I'm just speaking my truth. If a person's biological father is murdered by some couple, then they have a child by that murdered person, and they name him after the person that shot his biological father in the head. How is that? I know legally it's my name, but in reality, how can that be my real fucking name? Does that make any sense to you? I hope it does. So a little while ago, we were talking about those lines, and this is what it spells out. It says stalking, killing, but also where it says killing, he says king of killing. So stalking, he's the king of killing. He shot in the mountains. He shot a lab. He shot a lab dead in the mountains, and all of that on the appropriate lines are linked to the birth date of Stevan and Jeanette. So I'm going through these cards because I've spent a long time. I should have structured them in order better, but I want to make sure I get all of this. Throughout the cipher, L can represent L, but in most of the instances that I'm describing it right now, it represents J for Jeanette. But just like I described in another presentation, the letters M and W, you might as well have a spinning Vanna White on that, because W can always represent M and vice versa. M can always represent W. A lot of that goes back to one of the people that put this cipher together, which was my brother Mike, and his first name is Michael and his middle name is William. All right, now we're getting somewhere. I'm going to go through each of these cards, like I said, systematically, even if they're not in the order I'd like them to be. So line 7 down, once again, 7 equals the month of July. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right here. On this line, saying a couple different things. First of all, the word Staley is spelled out here, and it's arranged on on the birth dates of both Jeanette and Stevan, but Staly is how it's spelled out. It's a word scramble. I'm not going to go through each letter right now, but just know that it's there on line 7, and that line 7 equals the month of July. They were murdered on July 1st. So, and that, like I said, I just said it a second ago, but I'll repeat it. Each of the words from Staly, Staly, once again, the E is only seen down here in net, which is Elaine. It stands for Elaine, which is Jeanette's middle name, on line 4. Once again, they're all aligned on the birth dates of the 2 victims, okay, for Staly. This line begins with when, basically it's a statement of what happened and what time of the day happened. Okay, NT equals nighttime, I equals I, the YO equals the word yo, which once again I've described it in all of my presentations. Yo equals murder, like I planned to kill or I did kill. So nighttime, I killed at, and TR here in this situation represents truck. Basically, it's aligned at 7-7, which is also 7-11. In the next presentation, this will come to mean a different thing. This will be at the trail because it was the Pinnacle Lake Trail. But I won't spend any time on that right now. We'll get to that in the next presentation. Here, they were shot near his Stevan's truck, and they were shot in nighttime. So he's saying, nighttime, I killed them at the truck, okay? And once again, Staly is spelled out here. Staly Creek, which was the campground that they, Stevan and Jeanette were killed along with their dog Caesar on the night of July 1st of 2005. I'm just going to go through even if I'm repeating each one. So the letter S, 5 up. First letter of Stevan Lynn Hagen, born on 12/27/50, continues to the left in the shape of an L, the left-hand path. So once again, I know I'm repeating. I don't care, it's my presentation. S right here. S on the position 5 with the O up above means 50, which is 1950. But once again, the KOO means killed, Oak Ridge, Oregon. S means Stevan in one instance, but it also means at Staly Creek. Okay, it's called polysemous, means more than one thing. It's a Greek word. You guys can look it up. POLYSEMOUS. Look it up. Look at the etymology and write a report for me. I'd like to read it. The N over here completes Stevan. His middle name was Lynn, Lyn. In reality, it's spelled LYNN, but here in the cipher, you get the point. Anyhow, the whole name is spelled out in the shape of an L. Once again, reference to the left-hand path, which was one of the motivating factors of all this. All of their murders for Dick from 1954 to present day each one is considered a satanic sacrifice, including when he gave the 35th President of the United States a lobotomy shortly after noon on November 22nd of 1963 at the instruction, specific order of J. Edgar Hoover, the founder and longtime person that was in charge of the FBI. That was the person who gave the order to assassinate the 35th President of the United States. I wish you guys would get that out there. I don't know. I'm looking for justice for all the victims, including the 35th President of the United States, believe it or not. You seem like a lot of these people seem like really great people, including him. And by the way, the word lobotomy is another inside joke that's used throughout this cipher. And it's used at least 3 times verbosely throughout this cipher. On line 2 up, or 2 down, I mean, right here, below the word kill. This is where it all starts, okay, in the top left in the English language. We begin from top left and move downwards. That's the order of the English language. This is where the story begins with he kills, lobotomy, and then it flows into the story about just the deal in Dallas and the fall of Camelot. Everything is spelled out here in the upper lines, is what I'm trying to say. Like I said, hopefully, if I live long enough, knock on wood, we get to that presentation in the coming days or weeks. So move. Oh yeah, the word lobotomy too. Word lobotomy is mentioned here in another word scramble. So line 2 down, line 10 down, and then once again on line 8 up. Those 3 locations. There may be more. Let's see. I explained to you that too. L in the word Lynn at position 7-1 equals July 1st. It's also meant to serve as letter J for Jeanette Bauman. So I know I'm repeating, but once again, this letter, then the blue here on line 7 up, represents July 1st. That represents the first letter of Stevan's middle name, Lynn, but it also represents Jeanette Bauman, who was his partner who was murdered. Line 7 up, insert letters N and D. So thankfully I didn't write his full name out here, but I do want it to be part of the presentation. A lot of Dick's, seems like most of Dick's lifetime friends, possibly homosexual partners, to tell you the truth, whether it be a state police officer from Maine or his very close buddy, Officer G.S. from the town of Napa, California. Most of Dick's quote unquote buddies or friends or whatever if you want to call them have been law enforcement officers. And like I said, in 2005, a part of Dick being in this whole area, Dick and the extended family being in the area of Oak Ridge, Oregon, it was also the time that Officer G.S. was looking for his home, which was purchased 1 hour away in a small town. But he closed, I believe, in October of 2005. And once again, this Officer G.S. is in his 80s from Napa. And according to the cipher, he owes Dick the favor of basically abducting me and being involved in abducting me and eventually murdering me. But I'm putting it on the record right now. So line 4 up equals 1948 Jeanette Bauman, year of birth. Like I explained all this to you. LL equals 56, which was her age at the time of death. L equals J, I've said that repeatedly. OO equals Oak Ridge, Oregon. At position 7 equals July. Let's see. And then I put, she was born on the 16th of October. And the letter E is also at the 16th position from left to right in the word net. And once again, that's down here on the lower right in green. The word E is for her middle name, Elaine. And like I said, on this lower level here between lines 4 and 8, there's a lot of words that are hidden, whether it be, they all have to do with fishing, whether it be bait or rod or net, and there's more that are hidden that are hidden in here. I had the whole list written down. I don't know where it's at right now, but this whole area is scattered with a lot of different fishing words that go along with fishing. And by the way, before I forget to mention it, the there were many things that were stolen from this couple after they were murdered. And one of the things were on the that were stolen was a pair of license plates from Stavon's pickup, and those are mentioned right here in a vertical fashion, beginning with the letter P, then L, then T, T. That means license plates, the license plates that were stolen, and they were custom plates. And if you go up here, I believe that the special is supposed to go with the plates, because they were special plates, I think from Crater Lake, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that, but they were custom plates, and I believe they were numbers 3677. I could be wrong on that also, but these letters align with the numbers 3677, by the way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See, these are 3, 6. See, 3 in, 6 down, and 3 over. So that's 3, 6 and special. And plates, well, the TT, which is the 2 license plates, PLTT, this is at line 7, which once again represents July. But the last numbers on the plates, I believe, were 77. So basically that represents 3677, the numbers on the license plates. Okay, I don't know if you guys are getting that, but all of this is hidden in here. And like I said, they were custom license plates, and they were stolen. There were a handful of things that were stolen, including his gun, his holster, and the pair of license plates. And I believe that's what is being mentioned right there, especially because of the alignment on line 7 for July. But also 7, there's TT, which means the 2 victims, obviously, Stavon and Jeanette. But also because it's at 7, it represents more than one thing. This whole line represents July, but here I believe it represents the license plates and the numbers 3677. I should have written that down. I believe I'm getting that right. So TT on line 4 up, Jeanette's birth month here. So and see, even right before the double T, you have the word TAR, which once again reinforces the whole idea that they're targeted individuals. TARTT, and the TTs align with well, Jeanette's birth year, but I believe Stavon also. Let's see. So TT on line 7 down connects to line 4 up. July 1st equals the TT on the line 7 down to the upper left, basically aligns with July 1st, but also July 2nd, which is the birth date of one of the victims from Pinnacle Lake. So a lot of these symbols overlap. We'll get to that in the next presentation, but the double T's in that instance represent Jeanette and Stavon in this case, but also 7/2 was the birth date of, I believe, the daughter in the Pinnacle Lake murders. And so it represents different things in different instances, but they're all targeted individuals. They're all targeted victims, and a part of this year after year, 2005 and 2006, pair of double murders, plus the murder of Caesar the dog also. So, and I don't know if there's another word scramble that has the word Staley in it. I believe it's line 8 up. So 7 down and 8 up. And once again, line 8 up is meant to correspond with the birth year of Jeanette Bauman, who was born in 1948. And a lot of these symbols correspond with her specific birth date, but also with the birth date of Stevan. And right here, from right to left, basically the letters that are replaced on this letters are letters M as in Mike, and H. Okay, so what he's saying here from right to left, and by the way, he was born on the 23rd of August of 1974. So this aligns with his birth date is what I'm saying. He's saying M-I-K is short for Mike, or MK, either way. I, Mike, killed the lab, okay, and these letters align with the birth dates of Jeanette, but also Stevan, and especially the 4-8. And over here, when we replace the M and the H, we get her day, H-I-R day, but also Mur day, M-I-R-D-A-Y. And what he's saying is it's her murder day, and the person that's linked to is Jeanette right here. Well, 4-8 would be, the A would be 4-8, okay? So right in the middle of day, which is murder day, that's her birth year, 4-8, okay? But going back to the letter L here, which is a J in this instance, Jeanette was murdered on the 1st of July, and once again it's repeated. You got to imagine, because of the position of this line, well, M, what is M? Let's see. M is the 13th letter. So it's the 13th letter down. From top to bottom, it's the 13th letter. And from the bottom up, it's the 8th letter. So once again, 4-8 aligns with the A, murder day. And this aligns with the date, which is 7-1. 7th line, first position. Once again, you have to remember that the L in this instance is a J. In another instance, it's the L for Stevan's middle name. But as far, they were both murdered on this date, is what I'm trying to say, which is 7-1, July 1st of 2005, okay? And once again, that's connected to the Lynn, which is the middle name here. The N being the last letter in Stevan, from right to left. We have S to N, Stevan, then Lynn. It connects lines 7 and 5, which is the month and the year. The month being the 7th of July, the month of July, and the 5th being 2005. So that both the S and the N are on the 5th line, which is 2005. Hope you guys, I've repeated it enough. I think you guys are gonna get it, I hope. Let's see. Once again, NT nighttime IO equals I kill at TR truck. Staley is the word scramble on that line. I think it's line 7 down, which once again is July. Staley Creek is the word scramble is STALY, and it's missing the E, and I keep going back to the bottom, the E in net, which again stands for Elaine. And once again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right here. This represents the month of July. Nighttime IO at truck, and then Staley is a word scramble throughout the whole line 7, right there. Line 4 down, position 8. Oh, both the letters G and D in the word God, which really means the word dog, because we go from right to left in the left form of the left-hand path. And I told you it's the whole line is meant to be a sadistic joke about killing Caesar, the dog, their dog. Line 4 down, which once again goes back to Jeanette Bauman. I guess I just spelled it out again. I really need you guys to understand that letter L equals J, like an angular J like that, but it's O. And on that birthday, on the lines 4 down, by the way, the L's. I think I've mentioned this quite a while back. The L's represent J's for Jeanette, but the positions they're at represent Stevan's birthday, which are 12/27, which is December 27th. And once again, everything is centered upon the words for God, whether it be, or for dog, whether it be God at the very top center, which actually spells dog, which represents Caesar, the dog who was also gunned down there in the darkness. But once again, that's our starting point. And like in the description of the abduction of Bryce Lespisa and the murder of Earl Cossey last week, in that presentation, the word wallet was the one word that joined everything together in the cipher. In this case, the words for dog, whether it be God, line 4 down, or the word Saiswar, S-A-I, combined with S-U-A-R here, which is supposed to be Caesar, spelled phonetically, or repeatedly, the word lassie also is another, that goes with Jeanette Bauman, 4/8 again. The I is at position 4/8 for her birth year, 1948. But repeatedly down on the lower level here, we have the words lab, and once again going back to line 8 up, which corresponds to 823 is my brother Mike's birth date. If we insert the M here, it says I, Mike, kill lab, and then on the opposite side, it says her day, mer day, which corresponds to this letter at 7-1, which represents July 1st, the L being, in actuality, being the letter J for Jeanette. So everything is tied together here. I'm considering this a first draft, guys. I apologize again for the swearing and for it's just really frustrating to describe everything, to have worked. Just imagine working constantly for 4 years, and you can't get anywhere because the very people that are able to do something about it, they're controlled by people at the top who are they don't want Dick to have any kind of platform or to be exposed, because if he's exposed, he's repeatedly told them, like, if you expose me, I'm going to bring you guys down too. So it's just a vicious cycle that's been going on for 63 years. It's been going on for a lot longer than I was even born. So line 8 up, it says I, abbreviation for Mike, sent to kill lab, kill boy, murder. And by the way, I believe boy is lined up with birth date for Stevan, if I'm not mistaken. And then it says OO is Oak Ridge, Oregon, obviously. SMT. So the SMT at the bottom there refers to the Napa police officer I was telling you about, who was a member of a different mounted Jeep posse a long time ago, actually in the 1970s. And let's see, and that's a little bit of what I wrote about about his good buddy from Napa that bought a home an hour away from the crime scene here in Oak Ridge, Oregon. And according to the cipher, according to the Cipher, that person is a member of this satanic organization called the Temple of Set, and he has everybody that's initiated into this. There's only one way to get into the quote unquote club, and you have to murder somebody. And according to the Cipher, um, sheriffs in Arizona and sheriffs, former officers from Napa, current and former officers from Napa, are members of this organization and have unalived people, murdered people in both Arizona and Napa. Yeah, we'll get into this statement in the next presentation. But basically, in the next presentation, I'll show how the two murders the following year in 2006 on the Pinnacle Lake Trail were timed to correspond with the 75th birthday of Zodiac's nemesis, Officer Detective Toshi of San Francisco Police Department, and anyhow, that was one of the reasons that they timed the murders for Pinnacle Lake to occur on the 11th of July of 2006. Was as they were still playing the game against this guy who had retired way before that, but it was also the 36 years and 9 months past the murder of a cabbie from San Francisco called Paul Stein. So basically it was a celebration of 36 years and 9 months of freedom. And you have to understand a lot of these numbers go back to different satanic organizations which function on the principles of infernal geometry, which all of it goes back to mathematics and angles, and everything's set to align to specific places, times, angles, and everything according to the numbers. And the number pi, 3.14 ... has a lot to do with one of the organizations, or the name of their organization, at least at one time. I don't know if they still consider themselves this or if it's a part of it. I believe it is, but it's called the order of 4 pi. I believe I'm getting it right, but it has to do with angles and circles, and I don't know. It's all tied into magic and magical formulas, going back to the Key of Solomon. Very, very complicated. But that's Detective Toshi. We'll talk more about him in the coming episode. Let's see. I'm about ready to call it a day on this, guys. So L, I've repeated this verbosely through here. L equals J, E equals a lane in the net in the lower right corner. And that's the reason that that's one of the reasons E has been left out of the two word scrambles, which occur on line 7 from top to bottom, 7 down, and on line 8 up, which once again, line 8 up corresponds to 1948, birth year of Miss Jeanette Bauman, and line 7 down corresponds to the month of July. But the reason that the letter E has been left out, it's been held over for a special presentation, which occurs here in the word net. Once again, they were on a fishing trip, and rather than having fun and catching fish, they themselves were ambushed and basically shot to smithereens in the darkness there, along with their poor dog Caesar. But the E here corresponds to Elaine, which is Jeanette's middle name. So here I've just described where we started. So where we started, we basically are close to ending here. So that S is at position, basically that's where we started, right down here. The 5th position up equals 1950, but also the whole line 5 equals 2005. S to N equals Stavon, then his middle name, Lynn, right here, and in the shape of an L, which is left-hand path. He was a sacrifice from the left, sacrifice victim of the left-hand path. And once again, I've explained it repeatedly. The blue L there is at position 7-1, which is July 1st, and it also doubles as Jeanette. So T equals targeted individual. I've done a little diagram there where it shows the conversion. In the first Zodiac Cipher on the 1st of August of 1969, he sent a 3-part letter, and his name is hidden in the center section on the 3rd line down, 10th over from left to right, and the symbol that it's hidden under is this this upside down capital T. That symbol, when drawn out, is a crosshair symbol, which in mathematics represents perpendicular. But since 1969, everybody knows that represents the zodiac symbol. What most people don't know is he was basically telling everybody, especially the people in the 3-letter organizations, that I'm untouchable, you can't do anything, because of that favor I did for you in November of 1963. And that's why he chose to hide his real name as R.R. Nolette in the Z408 cipher behind that symbol. And that's why he chose that symbol as his moniker. But also that symbol is also synonymous with X, which stands for victim X. Ever since 1963, November 22nd of 1963, the X, the same X that marks the pavement on the road where JFK was shot in his car, I think they call it X100, the limousine, presidential limousine. Ever since he was quote unquote given a quote unquote lobotomy there, X in the world of the Zodiac, in the world of Dick Nolette, has come to mean a generic term for any victim. X equals a victim, okay? X equals victim X. So I guess we'll finish with the 3 victims. Last but not least will be Caesar. So Stavon Lynn Huggen, once again, by all accounts, was said to be a really great teacher, a coach, and liked by many. Said he had a heart of gold and would have given anybody the shirt off of his back. Interestingly, he was born near, I always forget the name of that town, but very close to a place called Flathead Lake, Montana, and one of my favorite places that I've ever seen in the world. A great big beautiful lake where I've been shown pictures of people who have caught enormous sized lake trout there. And anyhow, Jeanette Bauman, she was liked by everybody that I've read all kinds of descriptions about her, and she seemed like she was loved by all, and did not deserve neither of these victims nor their dog deserve what happened on that night of July 1st of 2005. And unfortunately, the family members that I come from, this is what they do for quote unquote fun and entertainment. They're sadists, but they're also satanic, and this is a part of their quote unquote religion. And like I said, Dick has been doing this since July of 1954, and each and every victim that he has quote unquote taken, including the 35th President of the United States, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, to him, they're all considered both satanic sacrifices and also quote-unquote slaves for his afterlife. So everybody needs to know that. I know how crazy and completely batshit crazy that sounds, and maybe it is, but I'm speaking the complete truth. And I've spent 20,000 hours, 4 years of my life, getting these answers, and it's been very, very difficult, emotionally and time-wise, and in so many different ways for me. Finally, right here, say, spelled phonetically, say, Suar, and these numbers all align with the birth dates of, I believe, Stavon, possibly Jeanette as well. But once again, phonetically, that spells Caesar the dog. And I'm very sorry. I'm more of a dog person than a people person, to tell you the truth. And I'm just as disgusted, maybe even more. I don't know. I'm equally disgusted about what they did to Caesar, as what they did to. I know that might sound crazy as hell to most people, especially people that aren't dog people. I don't really give a crap, to tell you the truth, but yeah, Caesar did not deserve any of this either. So, all right. Anyhow, thank you all for joining. Sorry it took me 2.5 hours for this, but it takes what it takes. And once again, I apologize for any swearing. I'm not going to say it's not going to happen again. This is emotional to talk about it. When I get emotional, sometimes I swear. And I'm not a robot. I'm not human. And thank God I'm not an altar boy anymore either. But anyhow, thank you all for joining, and thank you for the incredible support from the few ones that are in my corner, the ones that have been there since the very beginning, and you know who you are. Thank you.